Hey guys, so welcome back to another episode on the Falcon YouTube channel. So today is the Falcon Bootcamp. This is actually the first ever bootcamp we've ever done, and this is actually in celebration of the 2-year anniversary that we spoke about in some of the previous videos. So today we're going to be hosting a bootcamp on some specific areas that we believe that's going to provide tons of value within the community. Today I'm going to be doing this with one of our hosts, of course, Neil. So Neil's one of our coaches at Falcon FX, and he was actually a student from the very beginning, so he's had such a great progression, and he's going to be helping and sharing his value as well with the community. So it's going to be an awesome day. So we look forward to bringing you some insights in what's going to go on in the day, and I can't wait. So stay tuned. This is where mass psychology and the probable and the possible and pattern separation all come together. So all of these things, they're there for a reason to help you out. So we look at the double top. I'm looking at the same thing. I'm still thinking about a sell. Just because it's broke up impulsively, I know it's possible. It might be part of a bigger channel, etc. Because we have this angle, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This could step into the realm of, valid setup again, couldn't it? Because it's this part here that we could look at the probable. So if we now go to the 4 hour and break this down, this is where patterns are going to help you with it. So what we can see here, which is the ultimate clue, what used to happen to me is that I would look at the daily and I would be getting in somewhere around here. I'd be triggered into the trade. I wouldn't even be looking at patterns. So just actually take that off for a second. You're just seeing that as price moving sideways. It just hasn't dropped yet. And a real life situation, you're in the charts and you might be thinking, well, I've been in for a day or so, it might drop soon, I still believe in the trade, etc. And then what starts to happen is you ignore this because you don't study patterns, you can't see what's happening. What I found is a massive clue would be this: impulse, correction, continuation. So you would almost see the pattern there give you an indication that it's actually going to break to the upside. So just because the higher time frame holds more weight in terms of direction doesn't mean that the lower time frame pattern won't give you a clue. And this is the clue, by understanding the patterns on a lower degree. So if you draw that on, Neil, and then you can actually see that this is just a one big impulse, correction, continuation. If you draw that on there, that gives me the clue. So this is the mass psychology of getting people caught on the wrong side of the market, and we're now using patterns to understand when that actually happens. And guess what? We started on the daily, we've worked our way down, and this is giving us the clue there. And if you just take a trend line, Neil, just from there and just measure that impulse to here, and then move it up to the break of here. Perfect. So we know that, yep. So either on the lower the pattern or the break, we get around 90% of its movement, its impulse. And as you can see, it's just completing that impulse, correction, continuation. So then I'm not actually shocked when I see stuff like that, but I used to be. Who else used to be shocked when you see things like that? Was you ever in a situation where you would take a trade on something that you thought there was a resistance that didn't bounce off of a resistance, and you think, oh, what happened there? And you kind of question it. You don't really have an answer. It feels a bit grey, almost a grey zone. It is what it is. And you kind of say, oh, this is just a good trade that went wrong. It wasn't a good trade. There was an indication there. And the only way you would know that is by understanding patterns. And we tend to see that a lot on patterns corrections, which is why something like, you hear me talking about running channels a lot recently, right? We talk about things like if you've got a descending channel that looks like just like the dollar CAD recent position. So if you look at a descending channel and then you've got an ascending channel at the end of it, that's normally a clue or an indication that it's still going to go the other way. So you have to look at patterns in more detail, which is what we do. If you just look at chart patterns for chart patterns, it's not really going to work for you because you'll be tagged in and tagged out all over the place. You need to know specifics. That helped out massively for me on things like that. I remember the transition. I would go back and think, oh, now I see it. Now I can see why that went up. And then that was almost the change for me from almost like a swing trader into an intraday trader, where I used to think that there's much more to this than I realize. Because I used to trade support, resistance, volume indicators, moving averages, you name it. But I've always had patterns. And when I stripped everything back, I would almost do that without even realizing it, that, oh, okay, so I'm going to take that trade, but the pattern's there, and then I wouldn't know what to take favor of. I wouldn't know what's more important. Is it the daily candle? Is it this? So I had to strip it all back and then actually get the data to confirm that. And it was without a shadow of a doubt, it's much more valuable than any resistance or support that you'll ever see in the market.
So much.
Oh, of course they do. They go through, back through.
And probably was bouncing off the 50 EMA or something.
Yes.
Bottom there.
Yeah.
So.
And again, you're thinking, oh, I can't trade through that. But what does that actually mean, So you got to think about, it's a lagging indicator, and you would never, I know, Alex, you've got a lot of, sounds like a lot of trauma from EMAs there. So you got to think about it's a lagging indicator, and then I'm going to keep going back to the same thing at scale. You have to think about it. You don't want to be making those decisions and worrying about it's rejecting the EMA, or it's like, I'm going to close it because it's the 4 out of 50 and I think that's what to do. There's so much more. There's no right or wrong, but without a shadow of a doubt, your profit will be limited. That's the question. It's not that it can't work trading an EMA, but your profit will always be limited. That's reflected in about 30 years of data. It's more the psychology of the market, of that decision, right? Because the risk to reward, there's going to be so many trades, that's never going to, you might bank 11% that month instead of 11.2. It won't make a difference.
The way I look at things like that is that I would rather then put my entry a couple of pips below and let the market take me in and widen my stop loss, and then therefore maybe reduce my risk to reward from, let's say, 5 to 1 to 4 to 1. It's probably not going to be that excessive, but I would rather do that and give myself more of a chance of staying in the trade, because at the end of the day, if that goes on to make 4%, that's great, I've banked 4%. But if it tags me out and I lose 1%, I'm not only losing 1%, but am I getting back in and then getting that 4%? You've almost lost 5%. If you look at it like that, like missed opportunity. So I'd much rather be a little more conservative. I, even now personally, don't really take 15 pip stops, hardly ever. I'd rather just give it a little bit more room to breathe. And at the end of the day, it might impact your results ever so slightly, but if you're like, I have to get this with 15 pips, that's greed talking.
So like with a structure like that, you'd have placed your order while it was still within the pattern. You wouldn't wait for the 15-minute break and then place an order.
On this one, actually, this is probably not going to shine me in the best light. I took it as a 1 hour. I wanted the confirmation of the close. So my entry was around here, and then because I knew it was NFP, I just decided to move it to break even, and I got taken out by a pip. And then it carried on. It is what it is. In hindsight, it's like, okay, I could have done this differently. I learned a good lesson from it, because this is such a clean continuation. Really, now I'm like, I should have taken it on the 15, So I'm not annoyed, it's just a good lesson to learn. And then I probably would have stayed in by a couple of pips.
Watching something online is also really good, but being here with people in the same position is just something that you just dream of, and to be chosen as part of 20, 30 people is just brilliant.
I've had a really good day today, very knowledgeable, very friendly, people were really down to earth, and just had an awesome day.
Very good, yeah, really helpful, great information. It's just good to meet up with people again who I've sort of seen at the meetups, so yeah, really good.
I think today the high probability setups or the valid setups was just something you hear of, but sitting down, taking notes, having Mark and Neil go through it, that's the biggest thing for me. And I had a coaching session a week ago where we went through it, but to hear it the second time and then hopefully a third time, it just made trading for me that next step really.
There's been so many supportive things, but probably one of the biggest takeaways is the probable versus possible. Just keep in that mindset. Keep probability in mind. When you take losses, remember that to look at the wider picture, not too zoomed into that loss, etc. But just so many lessons today, man.
From today, I think definitely the valid setups against the high probability setups. That's just been it's been a bit of a light bulb moment really, because it's made me realise what I'm taking a lot of, what I need to be looking at, so that's been brilliant.
The mass psychology, I've heard of that, but I didn't really grasp that. And Mark made that so simple today, talking about catching people on the wrong side. And that whole mindset has never really grasped me before, but I think I've got that now.
I've enjoyed a lot of them. I mean, there's just so many. I've enjoyed going through how Mark would manage his positions in the live market, because normally we see that in the trade recap, Mark would say, I went through this and I took a loss, but today here we got to see how he was thinking when I kind of was going step by step. So okay, this is what kind of form he was thinking this, and that's quite helpful to take away.
The management was good as well, because with my management I tend to be too aggressive and I get stopped out a lot. So seeing how I can be a little more relaxed and use the structures a bit more, that's been really helpful as well.
Hey guys, as you can see, the bootcamp went amazingly well. I really hope you enjoyed, behind the scenes and taking a look at that and hearing from students in the community and just the overall process. So it was really good to, celebrate that 2-year anniversary. Crazy to think that 2 years has gone by, and it feels like a little bit of a blur actually. And the whole day was just, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the togetherness of the community. I think it's very rare that you have so many like-minded people that genuinely want people to succeed in the same room. So I was really, really excited to do that. And I mean, the engagement levels, how much value was taken from that day was just awesome. So I really enjoyed the day, and I'm looking forward to be doing more. So it's Tuesday now? Yeah, so it's Tuesday now. So we had the bootcamp on Friday, so it's been a couple of days since, and we've got some really, really exciting things in the works. And speaking of that, a personal little milestone that we've hit as a community is that we've just hit 1,000 members, which is just insane. And although that we're not fixated on the numbers or anything like that, but it's more so the fact that I remember when we had 20 members. I remember when we had impacted our first 100 members. And actually, speaking of that, I have my pen here. You won't be able to see it from here, but it's got 100 on the lid. So when we first got our 100 members, I had a goal for myself that after we had impacted 100 members for that milestone, I'll get a Mont Blanc. I'm a big Mont Blanc lover. I love, of course, journals and journaling. I've been doing that for years. But I wanted to get that as a symbol of, 100 people have now been impacted. And today I'm actually heading over to the Mont Blanc store to get that for the 1,000. So I've had my eyes on a particular edition in Mont Blanc, which is the John F. Kennedy. I'll probably do another video and show you for those of you that are interested in that kind of stuff. And I'll be getting 1,000 engraved in that. And again, it's just a personal milestone to know that 1,000 people have been impacted. There's no one, the great thing about this community is that no one's flirting with the idea of making it happen. They're not just coming in and saying, do you know what, I'm just gonna see how it goes, watch a bit of content if it works. People are full in, people have got plans, they've got 90-day plans, they've got specific goals, they're helping people, they're meeting each other. I mean, there's meetups going on around the world all the time. There was one on Sunday in Glasgow, and there was one literally the day before in Brisbane, and one in Melbourne. They're just happening literally everywhere. And I think that's gonna continue to grow. And I think what sticks out to me the most is that for the first time being in a room of that many people doing more of like an in-person style teaching, that's the first time that we've done that for the bootcamp. It was really great to see the questions, the level of engagement, not to mention the level of skill that people have in the community. I think people in the community underestimate how good of traders that they really are, and that sometimes it's only those small 1% tweaks that they need to make. And I'm very confident that they would have gained those 1% tweaks in the day. And of course that stuff's gonna go up on the dashboard as well. So the whole community is gonna take value. And that's really Falcon's stance. We just wanna provide as much value as possible and speed up that journey, speed up that process. Because if we can save people time, that's the most precious commodity. You might not think it now, but what you'll look back on is realize that you can either sit on the sidelines, look at things like the community and think, I might join, I might get involved. That's completely up to you. No one's forcing people to join Falcon. We don't have any affiliates or anything like that. People join Falcon because they want to be involved with like-minded people that are serious traders that want to make it happen, and that's what we're doing here. So I'm excited to impact more people's lives, and it's going to be an exciting journey. I hope you've been enjoying behind the scenes as well, and you enjoyed the day of the bootcamp, and we've got much more in the works. So stay tuned. Have a great week, everyone.